it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot.
Call me Cardi B, I run this shit like cardio.
Oh my God.
12 years old.
Incredible.
12 years old. Keydron Bryant. He's an aspiring gospel singer. I think he's already there. I think it's fair to say he's already there.
That voice at 12 years old, I can't wait to see where he's going to be at 20.
He posted this on his Instagram and he said, just sharing what's on my heart. Hope it bless someone. It's fair to say, I think it's done more than that. I think that hearing his words, I mean, it's hard, you know, to hear as a mom, to hear him sing those words, singing from his heart. At the same time, though, there's some hope in that.
Everybody has a right to feel the way that they're feeling about this. The Band-Aid has been ripped. You know, Black in America is not pretty. And for us Black people, unfortunately, we deal with some sort of racism or prejudice, I mean, literally almost every day. And to see the horrific act of what happened to George Floyd, we're all stuck in our homes. I think anybody who saw that video, number one, could not believe the horrendous act that took place. Seeing a man begging for his life, calling for his mom, knowing that he was going to die, you can't sit and feel right about that with no remorse. You have the fact that just a few weeks prior, Breonna Taylor was shot in her home as she was sleeping after a long day of work on the front lines, helping those with COVID. Then, you know, a few weeks back, you had Ahmaud Arbery, who was just running in the neighborhood and literally shot in broad daylight. And so I think it showed that enough is enough. We've seen this happen time to time, but damn, 8 minutes and 46 seconds over a $20 counterfeit bill that he may not have even known that he had.
I think it's also important to point out for those who still cannot understand why people march out in the streets, people risk their lives knowing that the pandemic's still going strong and that the COVID-19, which has taken like 100,000 people's lives in the US alone, is still a threat, willing to risk that, and it don't matter, and they want to be out, because it's not just about one person. It's not just about George Floyd. And if you are still one of those people that sitting at home and it's like, and you just keep coming back to, well, he has a criminal past and this was it is not about one person.
Yeah.
This is story after story after story after story.
400 plus years.
And now this is the tipping point.
Yeah.
And I think that although it's been a very painful one, it has been a remarkable one to see people want to see real change and not just talk the talk, but walk the walk.
My parents have said this, you know, with all the protests that have happened, they've never seen more diversity in the streets than what we're seeing right now. And it is so beautiful. And I think the other thing to get across, everybody's talking about, you know, Black Lives Matters versus All Lives Matters. Black people are not saying that all lives don't matter. Black lives are in trouble. And all that Black people are saying is we just want to be included in that word all.
Hey, what are you doing? Oh, this house is on fire, so we're gonna go help them. We're gonna go put out the fire. Well, what about my house? What? What about my house? Doesn't it matter? Is your house on fire? No, but, like, it still matters. Nobody said that it didn't. It's just that this house is on fire and people's lives are at stake if we don't do something about it. Okay, all houses matter. What?
I really hope that even after all the protests end, and after all the changes of the policies and the things that we're seeing and people activating right now.
That is happening. I mean, change is happening. You know, the Breonna Taylor law got passed recently. I saw in New York, they just signed the Eric Garner chokehold law where police can no longer chokehold. That would be a felony. So it is, you know, it's tragic that George's death brought us to this point, but it's beautiful to see the change that's coming from it.
I mean, Band-Aid came out and said they're going to start making different colors of Band-Aids.
Well, thank God!
Tired of wearing bandages that don't match? Rainbow Bandages has the answer.
Like, you would have thought, like, damn, Band-Aid, I've been waiting for so many years. I mean, it is so beautiful to see our generation really speak up and demand change. Because like I told my mom recently, when I was born, you know, you, mom, definitely thought that, you know, your children were not going to have to go through this, that, you know, that was a thing of the past.
Trying to find a way to explain that to my own kids, I was really having difficulty. And then I saw a post by one of my friends on Instagram.
When the glory comes.
It said, just start talking. Don't worry about using perfect words and be direct. Black people are treated differently than others. When your kids ask why, because in reality, you know, we've all got the talk about how it's what's in the inside that counts and that skin color doesn't count. Out is also a subtle way, she mentioned, to negate color. You know, we don't want people to not see color because we're different colors, right? And that shouldn't be a bad thing. That's a good thing to celebrate. She says for kids to understand Black lives and to understand color, they need to connect to Black lives, reading more books with Black characters in them, celebrating Black artists and creatives, and having Black friends. And she mentioned not just Linda in accounting, and but basically everybody having a bee on top, having a broccoli on top,
A Brittany on the block, right?
and then also admitting that adults do bad things sometimes, and that life is not fair. And as parents, we need to also check ourselves and our own biases. Do the work. Do the work. Know that by saying, I don't know what to say, I don't know how to talk to my kids about this and about race. When you do not actively speak with your children about race, you do not teach your children about race. And that is where the problem is.
Well, I appreciate her, for you sharing it and for her posting that video, for the simple fact that not talking at all is the issue within itself.
Charlotte, who's white, titled the post just that, how to talk about Black Lives Matter with your white kids. I felt like as a mixed race person that you could really imply every race. You could insert every race in this, because the reality is Black children already have these kind of talks with their families for the most part, from what I've learned, you know, since they're very little, because they have to. Other minorities do it as well. I just think that it was a great starting point, even for me, and then for anybody else.
Having this conversation with Adora at 8 years old is going to be different than when Adora is in high school. And I know Adora has Black friends, but in high school, things get even realer. And she might see some things that may be even more disturbing that could lead to another conversation.
She's had a lot of questions, and I think she's around here somewhere. Should I grab her?
Yeah.
Do you have time? Because I know you have to leave in like 4 minutes.
Grab her. Hey, girl. Oh, you changed your shirt. Are you going for golf? Yeah. I love that you play golf. I think it's the coolest thing ever. I really do.
And one of the beauties of us working from home is that I can just take my everyday conversations and bring them to you in real time. Yeah. This is my daughter, Adora Kate, who, if you don't know, she's 9 years old. And she's awesome, and she's very loving.
9 already, Adora? It's crazy.
Yes. So Adora, Brittany and I, we were just talking about everything that the country's been going through lately. And you know, I work in news, and we have the news on a lot. Mm-hmm. And you were watching it a lot, and you had some questions, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Black Lives Matter a lot, and then all of a sudden we're all fighting about it.
So what?
They really do matter, and like now we're all like, now it's like we're like they're fighting for Black lives, and I don't understand why, because they do matter, and we all care for Black lives, and then all of a sudden people are like throwing rocks and stuff in the news.
Mm-hmm. I know. And you wanted to know what had changed.
Yeah.
And that's Brittany, where I was like, oh gosh, I need to do the work.
Yeah.
Right. And because it's not such a simple thing, and it's almost hard to say, like you said, when you talked about being direct, but the reality is that Black people are treated different than other people. And as you go into the world and you get older, you start to realize that even though we're all taught to be equal, that not everybody does that. And people do make mistakes and people can be mean. If you saw someone being bullied, or if you saw someone being mean because of someone who they were and the color of their skin, you would know that that's not right.
Yeah, but it didn't. It never happened, and then all of a sudden we're all fighting now.
Yeah.
That stuff.
Yeah.
I think the beauty, Adora, is everything that you're saying is right. Black lives do matter. We all matter. You know, it is beautiful that we are all different colors and are all the human race, and we do matter. But the unfortunate reality is, for hundreds of years now, Black people have not been treated right. And this is something that's continuing to happen. And adults aren't always nice. And it's really in the adult world where we see this the most. The majority of the world does believe that Black lives matter. And that's why so many people are standing with me, my Black people, in the streets protesting for the rights for Black lives. But unfortunately, this world has good and it also has not so good things. And what has happened recently is something that's not so good, and it's because of who that person's skin color was. And so the best thing that you can do, Adora, is with your Black friends, if you ever see a Black person being bullied or not treated right or things of that manner, you're with them, you stand up for them, because by you standing up for them and using your voice, that is going to make the difference.
Yeah.
Right? You would. And so that's what you're seeing. And I know it's been hard for me to explain, but I think also, you know, what did we watch the other night? That was great. We sat down.
Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
And Kevin.
Oh, Kevin.
Kevin was cool.
Kevin Hart.
What happened to here?
I was watching 12 Years a Slave. I was mad. They took our dignity. Oh, so now you're trying to take our popcorn too.
There's a lot of racial tension in here right now.
Kevin Hart's Black History lesson on Netflix for kids. Highly recommend.
I want you to listen to your dad. There's so much more to Black history. There's Black heroes everywhere. Harriet Tubman, 5 foot even. Sammy Davis Jr., 5'5". Prince, 5'2".
Why do you keep mentioning their heights?
No reason.
But
Adora, never stop asking questions, you know,
Mhm.
never stop learning. And these conversations are important. And know that me, as your Black auntie, I'm always going to be here for you and always going to be able to have those conversations that won't always be easy to understand, for sure.
the one thing she did ask me when she saw the police and the rioting and all of that, she said, what side are you on? You know, before she really knew what was going on. And I don't think that it's really so much about a side, because the reality is that there's good police officers and there's bad ones. And that's what you're going to learn when you get older, just like in any profession. And just like you can't say all Black people are bad, all Asian people are bad, I don't think it's fair that you can say all police officers are bad either. And so it's not that anyone's on one person's side. What they're on the side of is to treat humans the right way, the way that every human should be treated no matter what. And so that's really what those people in those streets were fighting for, is for equality. And it's something that we all need to work on, and that not only we're working on as adults, but that our children will continue to make better as they get older. People like you.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
You promise?
Yes.
Okay. We love you.
We love you. Love you, big girl.
No, she's so cute. I love you. See you soon. Bye, baby.
She is so cute. Oh,
I know, but when she said that to me the other night when we were laying there, she was like, yeah, like, but they keep saying Black Lives Matter. And she's like,
but duh.
you dumbasses. No, I'm kidding. She just really couldn't. She's like, what changed? You know, and
She's so sweet. Oh my God.
gosh. So thank you, Brittany, for helping me out with that.
Yeah, wow. I
'Cause
mean, that's
hearing it from you is so much. I just feel like it speaks so much volume. Like, she will probably never forget that,
like
right?
you said, it's my story. You are not a person of color, so you can only relay the message, but from her seeing, you know, she sees my skin color, she knows what I am, and for me to say that to her will make an impact. And I think the most beautiful part about it is you continue to raise your children, right, Angie? I mean, the fact that she said they've always mattered. That's the issue is, yes, you know, all lives have always mattered, but unfortunately not everybody feels that way. And that's a hard thing to explain to a 9-year-old.
The moral of the story is, and something for parents to all keep in mind, is just because our kids know what's right from wrong, don't just assume they know how to handle it or what to do if they're ever put in that position, whether they are the victim or whether they're bearing witness to that injustice happening to someone. And I will leave it at that. But obviously, we want to still talk a little bit more about this. And I can't think of someone who would be better to speak with than a single Black mom of 2 young boys, turned author, turned TV host of her own show, who is using the power of words to keep the conversation going.
Come on, join us, you'll see. We're reading with Carylee.
And here she is, the mama, Carylee Carrington. And of course, in your tutu, your signature tutu.
Yes. This is my look. It came up really just a few weeks before I actually started the show. And I love tutus, and I wanted a reason to wear them. So when I came up with this idea, it was just like, okay, let's go. Let's roll with it.
Yeah, and when we talk about this idea, because that's right where I want to begin, because our show, and Brittany will tell you, it's all about celebrating motivation and taking motivation and turning it into actual action. And that is how you got into writing in the first place. And that led to you creating your own show. In fact, you refer to yourself as an accidental author. Why is that?
Well, I've been writing most of my life. I never really thought about becoming an author because, you know, I've heard of the J.K. Rowling stories and, you know, those other authors where they would write a book and it gets put on a shelf. So I wasn't really looking to do that. And when my son came to me with the issue of him being told that he should play with children of his own race, on the playground, you know, I tried to figure out a way to actually teach him that, and the book came about with that. And my mom, who was a literacy coach, she said, you know, you need to publish this.
With everything happening right now, has your son start to bring, you know, what's that like for you guys as a family?
And my son came to me, like, after watching the news, he was sitting and watching the news while it was going on and they were talking about the protests, and he came and said to me, he's like, Mommy, I want to go on Facebook Live and say something because I want everyone to know that Black lives matter, and I'm a Black life and I matter. And of course, I actually have it on my Facebook. I am crying and everything, and he's just like, you know, Black lives matter, we should all play together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm kind of tearing up right now thinking about it. But yeah, like, he wants to get involved, and in doing that Facebook Live, that was his little part of being able to be involved. And, you know, I keep telling him, like, you know, you inspired me to write this book, so you are involved in the movement.
I know also in another book that you've written called Pretty Hair, there's a little character in there, and her name is Sophia, and she goes to school and she has her cornrows, she has little beads in her hair, and other kids, they talk about it, and she ends up walking home tearing her beads out. How can parents use a book as a tool to start this conversation, which is honestly so hard for so many people? Talking about race is hard.
That everyone just like me is a conversation starter, but I actually have an author from Utah on my show this week, and his book is Quincy's Questions, and he used dogs to be able to bring that point across. You know, it was a little French bulldog asking his mother, you know, okay, what are these things? You know, what this is a bowl of food to eat. This is a a fire hydrant that I go potty on, and then he saw, other dogs that were not like him eating from the same bowl or using the same fire hydrant. And he's like, well, they're not like me, but they do the same things. And that's how, and that's why I love having these authors on my show and showcasing them, because they bring such a different angle sometimes that you may not actually think about.
How many authors do you feature typically?
Well, we are on our 32nd episode now. We actually just started in November. We've had at least 20 authors, I think probably about 25 authors right now. And we've actually been able to feature authors from around the world.
So if parents have more questions, they want to connect with you, they want to watch the show and subscribe.
Definitely go to readwithcarylee.com. And you can find out how to get connected to the YouTube page if you want to get me to an event. And most importantly, if you want to get me to your school. So definitely, especially in the DMV area, I'm always, I try to be as available as I can.
Carylee Carrington, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for keeping the conversation going.
Thank you so much. And I must tell you, like I said on Instagram, love you, and I've been watching you since I moved to the DMV about 10 years ago. So this is such an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, we'll have to get you in the studio when we're back in the studio, whenever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Amazing. She's so inspiring.
I know. I love that. I love accidental author. I mean, this is how great ideas are made, right? And it's just a perfect example of taking something that could have been a real negative experience and look at how it's multiplied. Next week, we have a really special episode. Happy birthday, Brittany.
I'm another year older.
I'm delivering an interview that you've been wanting to do forever.
Wait, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. It's my season.
I know, it's your season. So we've got the OG of astrologers, okay? So we're talking everything from Gemini season to what the world's gone through in the last month. Are we going to get a second wave when we're talking about coronavirus? What's going to happen as far as the flow of the country and where we're going with everything? What else are we talking about? The election, but it's all in the stars.
How even plays a part in this? You know what I mean? How can we even foresee this through mathematics and astrology? I'm so excited.
It's a fun conversation, yes, and very enlightening. And then, of course, we also had put on hold little Bob's birthday. So we're celebrating the Geminis.
Yes.
And
Twin makeover.
It was quite the party, and I will reveal my cake making skills because he wanted a tiger cake.
Yeah.
And I came through. A lot of good stuff that hopefully will continue to lift your spirits, look forward to. And we can't wait. We're glad to be back. And if you want to weigh in, you have something to say, please let us know. But we are open. This is a conversation. There's no bad feedback.
So don't forget, send that video or send us an email to info@ohmygoff.com.
Take it away, Dolly. Wait, why is this chair in the way?
I'm not cutting it. Yeah.
Now, take it away, Dolly.